Jinsaku is about to drop some tea on the Power Rangers franchise of what's happened with the reboot, or with the Limbo reboot at the moment. It's not cancelled, it's just looking for a new home, but at this point you might as well just be like, nah, just throw it in the trash, because literally nothing's happened. Take this if you want with a pinch of salt. I am more inclined to believe Jin on this because it just literally makes a lot of sense. But if you want to take this as a pinch of salt, then that is up to you on that one. But let's look over at what Jin has said on Twitter, and he put out a note, and let's look at it. Here's some tea on the Netflix deal. The original pitch back in 2021 to start the contract was the promise of a whole Entwistle Ranger universe. Instead, they got Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury, and Once and Always. During the contract renegotiation, once Hasbro told Netflix they're not moving forward with the reboot and pitched a new idea they want to go with moving forward, Netflix walked away from the deal. Now Hasbro wants to shop this new idea elsewhere. It's kind of weird how Hasbro told Netflix that they don't want the reboot and pitched an entire new idea. To me, is something wild. Like, why would you go so hard on, like, kind of promote Jonathan for a while, then Jenny and stuff like that, like get everyone excited, and then just sit at the table and go like, actually, we want to do something else. Like, we don't want to do this. Hey, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, I could just literally see Hasbro at the very beginning sitting in this conference room going like, oh man, like this is going to fucking work. Like, we're going to get a whole new idea. Like, this new idea of what we got, it's banger. We're going to bring in King Oja. We're going to bring Zenkaija. We're going to bring Dawn Brothers. It's going to be fucking amazing. And they're going to love it. They're going to be like, yes, sign it up. And then suddenly, like, they go, Netflix sits down and goes, oh, okay, well, tell us what it is. They go through this whole thing. Netflix just literally just stand up and walk straight out. Like, this is just fucking insane for what they did, if this is all correct. Like, why would you just jump to something else? But then again, Hasbro really hasn't looked after the Power Ranger brand, and they've kind of like just dropped it. But that's not all. He continued with this. The reason the reboot got pushed off for too long because it's expensive. Entwistle and Jenny wanted to take the brand more serious and do a 2017 movie style show with money put into it and overall make a mature story. And expensive suits that look like maybe Toku J was involved. We've seen his artwork, it's absolutely phenomenal. The failure of that 2017 movie had Hasbro scared and worried, so they pitched a cheaper traditional style of the show without Entwistle, probably Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, to Netflix, but Netflix didn't want it. Netflix wanted to do a reboot. Netflix don't want Cosmic Fury or Once and Always, but since money and contracts was involved, that happened. Netflix walked away from the renegotiation because they never got the shows and the movies that they were promised in 2021. At the end of the day, Brian, who brought Power Rangers, he was the original CEO who sadly passed on, had a big vision for the franchise, but Cox isn't interested in putting money or doing the new universe. He wants to save money and not spend on a brand he doesn't care for, which is why the right to the show will be sold off next year. Holy fucking shit. I can imagine, like, could you imagine that they go in with like the Galaxy Ranger kind of like premise of the show, or like the pitch for Mighty Morphing? Like, this would be absolutely fucking insane. Like, oh my god, it's so fucking weird that Hasbro really didn't believe in this. Like, God. Like, even Netflix saw this and went, man, like, you're too much MMPR orientated or anything like that. Like, you had everything sat there. And I reckon that if Brian was still here, I think Power Rangers would be like a huge thing right now. I think it would be probably one of their biggest brands, going with Transformers and stuff. I think that we would have seen so much stuff when it comes to this. But in fact, all we saw is just another thing of, hey, like all the people like Mighty Morphing, all the people like this, and it's just not working. If Netflix, one of the biggest streamers on the planet, turns around and goes, nah, mate, we're okay on this one, and just walks out, like, what else could you really see for Power Rangers? Like, you know, where's this gonna go? Is it gonna go off to like Paramount? Is it going to go to Hulu? Is it going to go to Max? Is it going to go to wherever? Like, what could fucking happen with this brand? To me, I find this like really like interesting, to be fair, that they want to put money in. It feels like, and I don't get this, like, if you want to make money, you've got to spend money. And the fact is that if they made this whole reboot like as good as like End of the Fucking World, or I'm Not Okay With This, or Jessica Jones, Cloak and Dagger, and those Marvel like products as well, then this is what you have to put money in. I reckon that like the Cox, whatever his name is, just sits there and goes like, oh my god, like we've spent $5 on the Power Rangers recently, it's too much, shut it down boys, shut it down. Like, I can understand, like, I would love to see that kind of contract that they had. I would love to go through it and kind of see what happened. Like, sit down with Netflix, or just sit down with someone and just go through it all. It would be so fascinating to go. Like, I'll get that, like, the 2017 movie failed, and there's so much stuff that's in there. You know, it's the Power Rangers morphed at near the end, not the greatest. Then you had, what else is it? Like, you know, the name, the stigma. Because we talked about this in the space a while ago, and one thing I wasn't able to say is like two of my friends who really don't like Power Rangers whatsoever actually saw all of this, like the trailer, and the second that they saw it said Power Rangers, they went, oh, and they told me, and I was like, oh, okay, if that's the stigma of Power Rangers on the general population that everybody has, then how do you change it? How do you turn it around to make it better? With the suits being expensive, I get that. But the solution is you're having that for X amount of seasons. You're not changing the Rangers to, oh, like, you know, we've gone from Dino Fury, now we're going to Cosmic Fury, now we're going to King Oja, now we're going to Zenkaija. You're not redesigning those suits all the time, are you? And of course, you're probably going to follow the Sentai way. You're going to get the helmets made, as in like the hero versions and then the stunt ones. You're going to have maybe a couple of suits designed. Maybe you have an extra helmet where it's battle damage or whatever you go. But the fact is that you can implement this with CGI. You can put it all in there and this will probably work. So to kind of like brush this off and be like, oh man, it's like way too expensive. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you want this to sell more toys, because again, if you imagine like, if this like went crazy good and it was like the number 1 spot on Netflix or whatever, then you're going to sell the toys. You're going to start making the money back. And then you go like, man, like we spent $3-4 million on this. Yeah. Okay, but we've made $12 million because of how many times people are watching it on Netflix if you get paid that way. You've also got the hype that's going around. We've got the toys coming out, and you could mass market all those toys for a long time. Oh, here comes the Mighty Morphing whatever suit, but then it comes with maybe a Zord. Maybe we sell a Ranger set. Maybe we do villain set. And the fact is, it would be absolutely phenomenal. You could have 10 episodes. You could have, you know, even 8 or whatever, and kind of make them longer and then reap the benefits later on because people are going to be talking about it. You're going to see those numbers go through the roof if it was that good. But no, like you had to sit down and pitch something like Power Rangers, like Mighty Morphing. I would laugh if they went, this is King Oja, and they went, that's not what we want, you know. But the fact is, like, changing the contracts as well midway and just disappearing on it, changing it and being like, oh yeah, well, we promised you all this stuff, but it's all gone now. We think this would be the best. I can imagine that. I can fucking imagine that. Okay, guys, thanks very much for the contracts. Like, okay, so what have you got to say? We know from a stance. We know from retail. We know that this is the best one. This is King Oja, a series about, and they're like, no, stop you there, we don't. But our market research shows that kids from ages 5 to 7 absolutely love this, and they're going to be like, but no, we want this for the adult audience. This is the more mature. Our market research shows that from the ages of 5 to 7, this is what we want. No, we want an actual mature audience, guys. Like, that's what we want. We want to bring in the old crowd. We want to bring in the new crowd, the superhero crowd. We want all of this in. Our market research shows from 5 to 7. And they've gone, I'm done. We're completely fucking done. It's so fucking weird. Like, I really want to make a whole ton of videos on all of this news and just break every fucking little thing down. But yeah, do I think that the reboot is going to happen? To be fair, I would love it to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen for many years. And if it does, I want to finish on this tweet. And Kevin says, this makes all the sense in the world. Netflix bought into a series, expensive Power Rangers reboot, sold to them by Brian Goldner, who then suddenly died, and his successors want absolutely nothing to do with anything other than Transformers and G.I. Joe. It's really frustrating, and it so fucking is. It's so fucking frustrating as a Power Ranger fan since the beginning. It really makes me kind of go, why are you just focusing on those two brands? Like, you have so much, you could have put so much more. And if you put the same amount of effort into Transformers and G.I. Joe, into Power Rangers, I think that this would have gone through the roof. You could have had some of the best people in the marketing world, into the TV world, and whatever, sit down and kind of go, how do we make this big? It's easy enough to do, but it just feels like they don't give a shit about this. And it really makes it hard to be a Power Ranger fan in this day and age, because why should I give my energy, my time into this brand when literally all we're going to hear is the brand is on a hiatus right now? When it's like G.I. Joe has had nothing for years, like come out, I know of, bar some films, you know, Transformers, always got a series on, I get that. But yeah, again, you're always focusing on these two brands. Why not kind of put that time and energy into Power Rangers? Anyway, I am going to leave it here. Thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate you. It does mean the world to me. So why not like the video, subscribe to the channel with all notifications on, and tell me your thoughts on this. And why not check out the merch, the Patreon, as well as the channel memberships. Anyway, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much again for watching and listening, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimona Cat, Kira Stanada. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。